TeriGigi here. I just recorded a video in the same outfit. These are my painting clothes, but they're what I'm in. I'm not about to change clothes, just to video. So I thought I would tell you a story today, StoryTime video. I don't think I've had enough wine to tell this one correctly, but I will. Okay, I'm going to tell you the story of my first date. My official first date when I was a kid, you know, a teenager. And yeah, so I thought I would tell you it right now. All right. Back in the day when I was a teenager, my parents used to tell me that I could date when I turned 15. And of course, I don't think they really envisioned that this was ever going to happen. But, you know, that I was going to actually turn 15 and want to date, you know. But they always said that from when I was like 13 or something. And not that I was asking to date, but that's just something that they said. You can date when you're 15. Well, when I was 14, almost 15, which now sounds so young, we used to go into our town where the high school was and everything. And that's where you would hang out on Friday and Saturday nights. Friday night was for girl time, when you're with your girls, the guys are with the guys. And Saturday night was date night, like officially date night. Like you would not be caught dead with your girlfriends on a Saturday night. If you didn't have a date, you were at home, right? So at 14, I guess we were freshmen. Your parents, somebody's parent would drop us off at the Pizza Hut parking lot. There was a Pizza Hut and there was a video arcade. Do you remember that? A video arcade, which was really teenage boys. Girls really didn't go in there that I remember. And then everything else was closed. But at the end, if I remember correctly, there was a movie theater. Oh, our parents would drop us off and we would probably have them drop us off at the movies and then we'd walk up casually. This one boy, and he asked me on a date one night. And I said, well, I can't date till I'm 15. And he said, well, when will you be 15? And I said, next week. And he said, okay, well, maybe we can go out. And I said, yeah, okay, maybe. And he wasn't specific or anything. So the following weekend, it was my birthday, like my day of my birthday. It was a Friday night. I was with my girlfriends, my parents, or my mom dropped us off, or some other mom dropped us off. I don't remember that. But I do remember my mom picking us up. So I was with my girlfriends and everything. Well, he comes walking up and he had something behind his back. I was such a goofball. I can't even tell you. And he said, happy birthday. And he had a rose for me, a single red rose. I mean, this is when guys were so nice and just so sweet. And he was the best. And so I said, oh, thank you, you know. And I think we got pizza or something because, you know, you usually ended up in the Pizza Hut at some point. And he gave me the rose and he asked me on a date for the next night. And so, of course, I accepted because I was now 15 on the day. I was 15, so of course I could date the next night. So I said, well, I have a date tomorrow night. She goes, and we're driving home, right, with my friends. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, I have a date tomorrow night with so-and-so. I don't want to say his name. And she said, you can't go out on a date. And I said, I'm 15. You said when I was 15 that I could date. And she was like, well, your father's not home. You can't go. Your father's out of town. You can't go. Well, my dad was an airline pilot. So he was out of town a lot overnight, you know. He was home more than he was gone, but he was gone. When he was gone like 3 straight days, and then he would be home like 4. That's kind of how it usually was, that I remember. And I said, well, I already told him I could go. You know, you told me I could date when I was 15. And she couldn't argue with the fact that she knew. But they never expected me to be asked out on my birthday, right? So she said, well, I'm going to have to call your daddy in Chicago. Because that's where he was for the night. Well, this is the day before. This was the day when you made a long distance call. It either meant somebody was dead or somebody was in the hospital. I mean, you hardly made long distance calls. Remember those days because they were so expensive. So, we get home. It's like 10:30. And she goes, I'm going to have to call your daddy in New York, in Chicago. I think it was Chicago. And she said, I have to find out if you can go. So as I'm thinking about it now, I believe that she had to call crew scheduling at the airport or wherever they were in Houston to get the name of the hotel and make a long distance call and wake him up to ask him if I could go out on a date, because she was not making this decision by herself. And of course I'm pressuring her to make the decision. And, you know, I'm kind of standing outside her bedroom door trying to hear the conversation. And eventually she came out and she said, well, he says you can go, but he'll be home tomorrow. So my dad was going to be home for the situation. So I wake up the next day. It's Saturday. I'm sick to my stomach. I felt like I was going to throw up the entire day. So of course I'm upstairs for half the day choosing what to wear. Let me set the scene. I chose yellow. Yes, yellow. It was in style then, y'all. It was the 70s. Yellow corduroy Levi's, hip huggers, of course, bell bottoms, with a silk shirt, because we wore silk shirts a lot. Even the guys wore silk shirts. You should see how the guys dressed then, y'all. It was horrible. But at that time, it looked good. Okay, so I had a silk shirt with my yellow Levi cords with a wide belt down on your hips. And I think I wore my Earth shoes. Does anybody remember Earth shoes? Earth shoes. I hadn't thought about those till I just now said Earth shoes. Okay. Did I just spit? Okay. So, seriously, y'all, this is all true. I'm not making this up. So, I picked out my outfit. I fixed my hair, which basically meant straight, parted down the middle. I don't know if I had, oh, I didn't have bangs. I had wings. Because it was the Farrah Fawcett stage where everybody wanted to be Farrah. Let me set the other scene of the neighborhood I grew up in. Long, long street. Every single house on that street had kids. I think once my parents counted, there were 56 kids on our one street. And I was the designated babysitter of the whole street. I had all the babysitting jobs. And my friend Deanne that you've seen on my vlogs lived next door to me. Okay, so I was having the first official date of the entire street because I was the oldest of the middle big section. My brother, who was 3 years younger than me, told everybody that I had a date. So he decides that he has to initiate a touch football game in the front yard at the time that my date was to arrive. So there was probably 30 kids in my front yard, milling around, running around. Deanne, oh, okay, I won't tell you what she did yet, but I'm going to tell you. Okay, so my date drives in the driveway, and I'm puking in the bathroom. I'm so nervous, I can't stand it. And my dad's home by now. My dad's home, and he is not happy with the situation at all. Knock, knock, knock on the door. Teri, get the door. So I go and I open the door. And what does he have on? Yellow corduroy Levi's. It was the most horrible moment of my life. And literally we both stood there going, So we had matching pants. It was horrible. So I let him in the house. This is when boys picked you up. They had to come to the front door. No honking, no meeting up. There was no group dating. It was legit, right? Boy and girl alone. Okay. So he comes in, he meets my parents. I don't remember that part at all. But when we came out, the flag football game was in full force. And my brother is leading the pack. And they're all looking. And we have to walk down the little walkway and walk over to the car. Let me set another scene. The car. Does anyone remember the Pacer? Yes, he had his family's brand new baby blue Pacer. If you don't know what a Pacer is, they don't make them anymore. It's basically a Jetson mobile on wheels. By that I mean, remember George Jetson? In the little thing, it was a glass dome over him. Remember that at the beginning of the cartoon? This is what the Pacer was. It was like all glass, like the whole thing was glass, like it was so, and it was like a bubble. So it was so horrible to get in this car with everyone staring. There was no hiding from anybody, okay? As I'm walking to the car, of course he opened the door for me. Remember those days? We go around. I see something out of the corner of my eye. I look up. Deanne, my best friend, has climbed the tree that hung out over the driveway. She's in a blue shirt. I still picture it, a blue t-shirt. She's hiding up in that tree to watch the whole event of me going on the first day of Spring Ridge Drive. And she will kill me for telling y'all, but she doesn't watch my vlog, so she'll be fine with it. I think she would be fine with it even if she watches it, because she was what, 12? No, she was probably 13. Okay, so we get in the car, back up, and drive away. Well, I am so scared, still ready to puke the entire time. I am so nervous. Now I'm thinking, why did I want to go on this date? I mean, you know, back then, we were naive. Thank the Lord. We were all so naive. The guys were pretty naive too, to be honest. So it was that beautiful time where teenagers, you discovered each other as you got to know each other. You didn't already know their whole life history by going on Facebook. It was just really cool, but nerve-wracking because you knew nothing. But I knew of him. I mean, I knew him, you know, sort of. But he was older, you know, a whole year older. So, okay. So, we're driving on the freeway. We had to drive on the freeway. Then, most of the cars had a one long front seat. There wasn't a bucket seat in very many cars unless they were like a sports car that had like a gear shift in the middle. So he said, I am against my door. I am hugging my door because I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid. And he goes, do you want to scoot over? And I'm like, I'm fine. And I stayed over there, you know, because there was no way I was going to scoot over. No way. No way, Jose. We went to Casa Elena Mexican restaurant. So I order on June 1st of probably 1975. Yeah. Or June 2nd of 1975, I order chili because I don't know what to order. I'm so nervous. There's no way I can eat. I ate like 2 minuscule bites of my bowl of chili, of which he mentioned later because I'm sure he had to pay for this whole thing by himself. So, you know, I wasted all that food. And then I think we went to the movies and saw like, you know, like a Burt Reynolds style car racing, shoot 'em up type of movie. And then it was, I don't know what time I had to be home, probably 11. He said, well, we have a little bit of time before I have to get you home. Why don't we sit somewhere and talk? I don't even know what that means. Okay, sure, whatever. So we drove over to, there was a YMCA, and not far from it was a park called Candy Cane Park. It was a kiddie park thing. But it was closed at night, obviously. And so he parks the car, and we're sitting there talking. Honestly, that is all we were doing. I'm still hugging my door. And he says, and so we're sitting there talking, and all of a sudden, there's this bright light in our eyes, like spotlight. And we're like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And there's somebody with like a megaphone or a microphone or something. And they said, hey, what are you doing? And we just sat there, like, talk about deer in the headlights, like that. And it was a cop. And he said, y'all get off the grass. I guess he had pulled his car on some grass or something. Or the park was probably closed, but I don't know. Anyway, that's the whole story. That was horrible. So scary. I told my parents about it innocently because it was innocent. But they were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he took you parking. I'm like, what do you mean parking? Oh my gosh, I'm getting a text from Deanne. She's hilarious. If she knew that I was talking about this right now, she would die. Okay, so anyway, I ended up dating him for the entire summer into the next year. He was a perfect gentleman, perfect first boyfriend that anyone could ever have. And I ended up going to prom with him. If I can find a picture, I'll insert it.